Welcome back to Politics Uncovered, everyone. Today we're diving into this wild Texas law that mandates every single public school classroom display the Ten Commandments. Yep,
Oh man, this is something else. Every classroom, even like those tiny kindergarten rooms. Yep.
exactly. Kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. Your basic math stuff like ABCs and multiplication tables, right next to commandments such as thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. It's a juxtaposition that really grabs you.
I mean, come on. Can you imagine little Tommy in third grade looking at that and asking, Mrs. Henderson, what's adultery? Right?
Right, it's like turning a basic math lesson into a unintended theology session. And it's not about mocking faith. The Ten Commandments have deep cultural roots. But when you put them on a classroom wall, it's state policy meeting sacred scripture.
Exactly. It's kind of, like the government is saying, these rules are the one true set. And that definitely stirs up questions about fairness in a public school where kids come from all walks of faith.
True, and it raises that age-old question. Should scripture, which has traditionally been a personal or familial matter, be mixed with public education?
Yeah,
I mean, you really get the feeling that this could confuse even the teachers.
yeah. Imagine teacher Mrs. Henderson having to explain what adultery actually means to a bunch of 8-year-olds. It's like, mixing up the dinner table conversation with a theology debate, right?
Right, it's like they're inadvertently creating a mini religious studies class right next to the multiplication tables. And it doesn't end there. One of the more awkward lines is, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. For 7-year-olds, that's absolutely a head-scratcher.
Exactly. I mean, what does wife even mean to a 7-year-old? They might just think it's someone who packs their Capri Sun. It's a very complex concept for a class that's supposed to be just about basic learning.
And then there's the version issue. There are, different versions of the Ten Commandments depending on whether you're looking at the Jewish, Catholic, or Protestant traditions. Which one do you pick? Whichever one the state selects, it effectively declares this one's the right one. That's basic
Yeah.
state-sponsored religious favoritism.
Right. And that's a slippery slope. If you enable one version today, what happens when a different group demands their version on the wall? It's like, opening a Pandora's box of religious debates in every classroom.
Absolutely. And let's talk about another interesting angle here, the First Amendment. The Constitution is pretty clear, right? Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Yet here, we're seeing religious texts become state mandates.
Yeah, that's a direct conflict. In Stone v. Graham, the Supreme Court ruled that such actions create an unconstitutional mix of church and state. So it's all a bit ironic, if not outright problematic.
Exactly. It's like throwing a bull in a Bible shop, as some might say. And then you have scenarios like the Sabbath day commandment. Can you imagine little Ashley asking, is that Saturday or Sunday, right before recess? That's
Yeah.
a theological minefield right there.
I love that image. The science teacher rethinking their life choices because, suddenly they've got to debate church versus state on the fly. It's absurd in a way, yet it's a real challenge.
And then there's the argument from some Christians who say, hey, isn't this good? Our morals are on display. But here's where I respectfully challenge that notion. Would anyone really want the state picking out your sermons, your Sunday school lessons, your version of Scripture?
Exactly. That's the heart of the matter, isn't it? Sure, it might feel like a moral victory, but it sets a dangerous precedent. Today, it's the Ten Commandments. Tomorrow, it could be something else entirely. It forces a single religious perspective into a space that should be neutral.
Spot on. Public schools should be about inclusion and teaching how to live together peacefully, not about declaring which religious doctrine wins. It's like trying to solve algebra with theology pop quizzes on the side.
I mean, come on. Algebra and ancient laws on one wall? It's like saying, hey kids, enjoy your lesson on math and also your complementary spiritual directives. It just doesn't mesh well.
Exactly, and it raises issues for students of other faiths, or those with no faith at all. What does it say when only one religious perspective is showcased? It's not neutrality. It's favoring one faith over others.
True, And that could lead to feelings of exclusion or even subtly imply a hierarchy of religions, right? Kids should, never feel like one set of beliefs is the state-endorsed truth.
Right. It's a recipe for division rather than unity. Even though the law might have been written with good intentions, it ends up muddling the line between government and religion. And as our good old grandma might have put it, the road to classroom confusion is paved with laminated commandments.
Haha, exactly. And that's such a fun, though problematic image. Classrooms cluttered with, these huge pieces of stone-like commandments hanging on every wall.
Yeah, it reminds you that while faith and morals are important, the best way to nurture them is in the home, in churches, or in religious schools, not mandated by the state in public classrooms.
For sure, kids need to learn values like respect, honesty, kindness, and responsibility without being forced into a one-size-fits-all religious lesson. Public schools should focus on how to live together, right?
Exactly. Inclusion means respecting all backgrounds, whether Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, atheist, or just exploring. It's a misstep when the state tries to push one religious narrative over others.
Now, I'm curious. If we roll with the state saying this is the correct version of the commandments, doesn't that also, conflict with historical interpretations? Different groups have interpreted these ancient laws in, various ways over time.
Right, and that's where the real debate comes in. Everyone's version might have a different focus, which means that by picking one, the state implicitly dismisses the rich tapestry of interpretations from centuries of thought and practice.
And that's a dangerous precedent, because if the government starts endorsing one version in schools, what's to stop it from endorsing a different belief system next? It's a slippery slope, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's like opening the door for further religious interventions in public life. Once you start in one domain, it's hard to stop. And little by little, the educational system gets colored by those choices.
And let's not forget the legal aspect. The Supreme Court already made it clear in Stone versus Graham that posting religious texts like these in public schools crosses a constitutional line with the First Amendment. It's basically a say, no, 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 this isn't allowed.
Right on. So, while the law might be passed with the intent of promoting values, it instead sparks legal red flags and constitutional challenges. And legally, that's a big problem.
I can imagine the debates in courtrooms and school boards trying to navigate what the First Amendment actually permits. It's a never-ending battle between upholding secular principles and religious expression.
Precisely. It's like the government is trying to, amplify one voice in a very diverse chorus of beliefs. And that's what gets us into troublesome territory. Public schools should respect that diversity.
Absolutely. And the whole idea that the Ten Commandments could accidentally turn a math class into a debate club for ancient laws, that's just not the balance we need in our education system.
Yeah, it's a fascinating but also kind of concerning example of how church and state can get entangled in ways that do more harm than good. It's like mixing oil and water. No matter how hard you stir, they just don't blend, right?
Right. And while some might argue that displaying these commandments promotes moral behavior, it really leaves out context and dialogue. Values are best taught through discussion and understanding rather than a set of static rules on a wall.
Exactly. It all comes down to a question of what education is meant to be. Should it be a place for imparting one particular religious perspective, or a space where careful, critical thinking about ethics and values takes center stage?
And if we mess with that balance, the risk is losing the essence of what makes our public education, well, public. Every kid deserves to feel included, no matter their background.
Right, and in the end, while intent may be noble, the execution here leads to both legal and educational challenges. It's like trying to solve a math equation with a theology textbook. Something just doesn't add up.
I completely agree. It's a reminder that when it comes to the mixing of religion and state, even with well-meaning intentions, the results can be profoundly divisive and confusing for everyone involved.
Exactly. So what this Texas law really highlights is the importance of keeping sacred traditions distinct from state-mandated policies. Public education should foster open dialogue and respect for all perspectives.
Well said. And it gives us a lot to think about when it comes to balancing heritage, belief, and constitutional rights in our society.
Yep. And thanks for this engaging discussion. Hopefully, it sparks more debate on keeping our educational environments inclusive and free from needless controversy.
Absolutely. Thanks for having this chat. Let's keep questioning and exploring these issues as they keep evolving. Cheers to thinking critically about the mix of faith and education.